ATAL Academy sponsored 6 days faculty development program on innovative approaches to management discipline, balancing sustainability and competitiveness. I am Dr. Manjari Patwari, and it is an honor to stand before you as we embark on our 4th ATAL faculty development program at our institute. This program represents a rich tradition of intellectual exploration and knowledge sharing. Our institute has constantly demonstrated its commitment to fostering academic excellence and professional growth. And today, we are taking another step forward in this endeavor. Over these 6 days, we will witness more than 50 participants from across India coming together to learn from this FDP's various sessions to strengthen their perspectives regarding sustainability and competitiveness. The diversity of thoughts and expertise in this classroom is a testament to the spirit of collaboration and the power of education. We are privileged to have eminent stalwarts from the industry and academia who will play pivotal roles, session speakers throughout the program. We believe that each participant here will learn and contribute significantly to our collective understanding of innovative approaches to management discipline. AICTE, in its endeavor to encourage academic excellence, has taken several quality initiatives, which also include a program for faculty development. The ATAL Academy is one such initiative that has been conducting various ATAL FDP for faculty knowledge in emerging thrust areas. ATAL Academy has been recognized and conferred the award by the World Book of Records for outstanding contribution to faculty development. Before we proceed further, let me provide you with a brief insight into the institution that stands as the backdrop to this program. Dr. D.Y. Patil Institute of Management and Research was established in 1994 with a vision to emerge as an institute of excellence in creating resilient professionals in the field of management and technology. Affiliated with Savitribai Phule Pune University, our institute has consistently strived to provide students with the best academic and research experiences. This is a management-oriented and student-focused institute that aims to provide quality education, research skill, and entrepreneurial development among students. It offers various professional courses such as MBA, MCA, and MBA in digital marketing. We feel proud to share with you all that this year marks the Pearl Jubilee of MBA, Silver Jubilee of MCA, and third batch of MBA in digital marketing. The institute has established records including second-time accreditation with the National Assessment and Accreditation Council and National Bureau of Accreditation of MBA and MCA programs for excelling in every field. Our institute is the recipient of the Best College Award 2019 from the Savitribai Phule Pune University. Moving ahead, now I would like to introduce our Associate Director, Dr. Vishal Vadaskar. Sir is BE Chemical, MBA Marketing and PhD in Marketing and Supply Chain Management. He has around 17 years of experience in industry and academics. During his entire professional career, he has always been among the fastest growing professionals in every organization. He is the recipient of various awards at different levels. He had an opportunity to visit and work in more than 8 countries during his career for various professional assignments. Now, without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Vishal Vadaskar to share guidelines, rules, and overview of ATAL FDP. So please.
Good morning, everyone. I assure you that I will not stand for a very long time between you and sir. First of all, let me welcome on behalf of Dr. D.Y. Patil Institute of Management Research to all the participants of this FDP. We are thankful to AICTE for giving us this opportunity to host this 1 week FDP, which is always on contemporary topics and much needed for the development of faculty members in our domain. Second, I would also like to thank Dr. Shailesh Kasande for sparing time today to take us through an exciting journey to start this FDP. A couple of words related to how we are going to take this forward. Starting today, these sessions are spread over 6 days and the concluding day will be the Saturday. The expectations are that the participants should maintain minimum 80% attendance throughout the sessions. There will be an assessment. The assessment will be in 3 phases. One, there will be an MCQ test on the concluding day, that is Saturday. 2, there will be solving of the cases and articles on a daily basis which will be shared with you. And third, on the last day, all the participants are also supposed to submit a reflective journal which will include their reflections about the entire FDP, all the sessions of this FDP. If you have any questions related to this, we can take it for, we'll take it at a little later point of time, because I don't want to eat up too much of time of such session. With this, I would like to conclude whatever I wanted to say, and welcome you, all of you, once again, and I wish all the best for successful completion of this FDP. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for briefing the participants about rules and guidelines of FDP. We are privileged to have amongst us an eminent personality, Dr. Shailesh Kasande, sir. I would request Dr. Vishal Vadeskar, sir, to felicitate Dr. Shailesh Kasande, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Now I take this opportunity to introduce our esteemed guest, Dr. Shailesh Kasande, sir. Sir is an academic and administrative leader with demonstrated competencies across the spectrum of higher education domain. He has over 26 years of academic experience in various capacities such as director, professor, director, corporate relations, executive director, etc. He is presently the CEO and Group Director of Surya Datta Group of Institutes, Pune. He was earlier the Chairman Board of Studies, Production and Operations Management, Faculty of Commerce and Management at Savitribai Phule Pune University and Member, Academic Council. He is an engineering graduate with a post-graduation and doctorate in marketing management. He is a Dale Carnegie certified trainer, ISO lead auditor. His teaching competencies are marketing management, corporate strategy, operations management, research methodology, supply chain management, retail management, sales and distribution management, R programming, SPSS, Tableau, NVivo, advanced statistical methods, marketing analytics, retail analytics, digital business, entrepreneurship, decision science, marketing research, etc. Sir has contributed to various aspects of the academic ecosystem. His expertise lies in curriculum design, choice-based credit system, outcome-based education, accreditation, academic audits, academic autonomy, ISO developing ethics systems such as ERP and LMS, new ventures and new program development, industry academia interaction, nurturing alliances and capability development of the faculty, research and academic administration. He was instrumental in launching CBCS, credit and grading system, and outcome-based education across about 17 programs of Faculty of Management at SPPU. He has been conceptualizing the PhD coursework since 2013. Sir is a staunch advocate of innovation and experimentation. He is a life member of ISTD, ISTE, NHRDN and several industry bodies and has contributed to CII forums at Pune zonal level and Western Council level as well as to MCCIA. He has worked on over 100 commercial research assignments, both in a qualitative and quantitative domain across retail, telecom, BFSI, education, automobile, FMCG, infrastructure, soil sector, etc. Sir has set up over 10 institutes of higher education in India and abroad. He has published over 25 research papers, presented over 25 research papers at conferences, conducted over 500 workshops on SPSS, research methodology, and over 200 FDPs on CBCS and OBE. He has published 3 books. 8 students have been awarded PhD under his guidance, and currently 8 students are pursuing PhD under his guidance. He was the editor of 2 research journals for over 10 years. He provides consulting services in the areas of business performance, improvement, competency mapping, process improvement, and project management. Sir is a member of various committees at various institutes and universities. Dr. Shailesh Kasande sir is an institution builder par excellence in the academic domain. It's indeed a privilege for all of us to have such an eminent personality who will be enlightening us in this session through his expertise and rich experience. May I now request Dr. Shailesh Kasande sir to address the audience, please. Please, sir.
Good morning to all of you.
Good morning, sir.
At the outset, I should thank both AICT as well as DY Patil Institute for this opportunity. ATAL FDP has over a period of time indeed evolved as a vehicle of faculty development. When Dr. Meghala Villare called me about this particular FDP and especially about the theme, I thought it was a wonderful opportunity to interact with all the faculty members. Over the last couple of decades or so, I have realized that just as students' mindset has changed, faculty mindset has also evolved. And to a certain extent, it has become passive. So although the name is FDP, I am going to run it more like a workshop. So you all should pardon me for that. So there is no PPT, okay, first of all. So first shocker may be for you that there is no PowerPoint, okay. So we are going to collectively evolve our understanding about the topic. So at a postgraduate level, I see some students also. The idea is not about passing on information or being an information dispenser, I would say, right? Because Google does that job wonderfully. So we are going to try and understand the various facets of the theme and then how we can link them and possibly how we can take it to our research areas, possibly how we can take it to the classroom, so on and so forth. The theme is about innovative approaches to management discipline, balancing sustainability and competitiveness. That's the overarching theme of the FD. So typically when we look at this theme, we are essentially looking at management discipline, sustainability and competitiveness, right? So 3 keywords that kind of leap out of it. As far as the topic given to me is concerned, I guess I am the opening speaker, right, for the FDP. So the topic given to me is about integrating circular economy principles. So the moment I say circular, you might imagine, okay, there might be something linear, so there is something circular, right? So we'll try and understand what's a circular economy and then how do I connect that to sustainable competitive advantage. So typically, because we talk of outcome-based everything, so I also written down some learning outcomes. But I would want you all to tell me, what do you expect from this 2 hour or 2.5 hours interaction? What's your view? Rather than me telling you that I am going to kind of teach you something. What do you expect from the session? Yes? The forum is open, okay? You can intervene at any point of time and speak. So it's not that you have to take questions towards the end itself. So you all might have come with certain expectations, right? Beyond a certificate, I believe. So what are your expectations? Can we convert this to a whiteboard so that I can use it? Yeah, please, you can change that. Yeah, so what are your expectations?
The name is suggested that innovative approaches and the circular economy, how this expenditure, income and overall approach will bring the economy to a sustainable level, not
Okay.
for us only, but the years to come, where how these investments are going to be leading, how this investment will lead to sustainability.
Okay, yeah, anyone else? This side of the class? What is your expectation? Students, what do you believe we should discuss over here? Some thoughts? So, would you like to understand what exactly is a circular economy? You have heard some terms like this, circular economy, sharing economy and all that, right? We also have heard a term called new economy. Have you heard of this term, new economy? Our course has a subject called digital business management. So new economy, platform economy. So not the railway platform economy. You heard of these terms? So there is an old economy and there is a new economy. Right? Do you all agree? And old economy was predicated, it was built on certain principles. So in our school or in our, possibly in school, we all learned human development, we all learned economic development. At that point of time, we were learning that India is an underdeveloped or a developing economy. Today we are far beyond that, right? But we all have learned this in school. And we have learned that economic growth is measured as per consumption per capita, right? Or you would say GDP per capita. How many cars are there per 1,000 people in India? And how many cars are there per 1,000 people in US? You have learned that at that point of time, right? Or consumption of electricity in what wattage per head, right? So these were the benchmarks of how economic development was looked at. Exploitation of natural resources. The entire paradigm was based on what? Exploitation of natural resources. And today what are you coming across? You are coming across terms like happiness index. Are you? Right? You are coming across terminologies like minimalism. Minimalism. Have you heard of minimalism? So, humankind has, or mankind, or planet, or we as a people, right? I'm not talking of India, I'm talking of the globe, right? Have we evolved? So we have created a lot of sins in the earlier centuries. And today we are pretending to wash away those sins, right? And therefore we are talking of sustainability. So you need to understand why suddenly this rush towards sustainability, right? So there is a context, and therefore we talk of circular economy, and then we as businessmen, we are a business management institute, so we cannot criticize business over here, but we have realized that we are adept at, we are experts at creating a revenue model and a business model out of everything and anything, right? So out of selling soil or water to selling a jet or maybe selling arms to Israel or whatever it is, right? So we all are very experts at that. So we would like to understand what's this term called competitive advantage. First of all, what is competitiveness? You have heard this term, competitiveness? As an individual, are you competitive? Were you taught to be competitive? Right? Were you groomed socially and at the family level, at the school level, IIT, JEE from 5th standard, Red Hat Junior from whatever, when the baby is in the womb, whatever it is, right? So we all are taught to be competitive, right? We are groomed to be competitive. So what is competitiveness? Would you like to understand this? Are we clear about what is competitiveness? So we'll try and look at that, right? Then we talked of, if there is competitiveness, then we all are again masters and PhDs and PhD guides. So there have to be certain conceptual frameworks that underlie competitiveness. Does it make sense? There has to be certain theoretical frameworks that underlie competitiveness. Competitiveness doesn't just happen, right? It has to be nurtured. It has to be inbuilt culturally, systematically, process-wise, strategy-wise, so on and so forth. So we'll try and understand what are the theoretical perspectives which underpin, which underlie competitiveness. And then there could be various schools of thought over there. Then we all discuss strategy and strategic management, and wherein comes this term called sustainable competitive advantage, right? So competitiveness is one and competitive advantage is something else, and sustainable competitive advantage is even more something else. So we'll try and understand what is SCA, sustainable competitive advantage, and can there be such thing today like a sustainable competitive advantage, or is it a terminology of the 1980s and 1990s when people like Michael Porter and others thought of it? Today, is there anything like a sustainable competitive advantage? Are we in a hyper competition era, or what kind of era are we in? So when we talk of platform economy, you understand the giants that are around us. Google is a giant, right? Facebook or Meta these days is a giant. Or you talk of Amazon. And who are the other people? Bajaj Finance, TCS, and who are the others? So earlier it was more of a oligopolistic, at least in some areas. But today what kind of economy is there globally? You have number one, you have number two, and you have the rest. And the rest will automatically vanish, right? So can there be something like a sustainable competitive advantage? If yes, what it is, right? If no, why it cannot be achieved? So you talk of VUCA and many other things, right? So a lot of jargon is there. So then we will try and understand what leads to competitiveness. What are the drivers? What are the antecedents? What are the enablers? What are the factors that would influence competitiveness? So this is the agenda for you all, right? You are going to tell me this. I am only giving you the pointers. So I am not going to say these are the 10 factors for competitiveness. We all have to deliberate and debate and evolve these things. So these in fact are our learning outcomes, right? So what are the factors that drive competitiveness? Are there external factors? Are there internal factors? What factors foster, inculcate, imbibe competitiveness in an organization? And then we also ask the fundamental question, why do we need competitiveness? There are three things that every person should know when we talk of academics or industry. What, why, and how. What is competitiveness? Why do you need it? And how do you build it up, right? So we'll try and look at some of these aspects. We'll also try and look at some examples in each of these areas, right? So if I say that there is a customer-centric view of competitiveness, what kind of firms come to your mind when I talk of a customer-centric view? And when you go to classical textbooks, you will say Singapore Airlines is a classic example of customer-centric view of competitiveness. Someone would say, sir, Tata Steel is also competitive. Why? Because it has access to iron ore mines which are captive. We'll try and understand what do we mean by a resource-based view of competitiveness. Get the distinction? Resource-based view. Someone would say Reliance is very good at lobbying with the government. Do you believe? Most of us believe that, right? Except Reliance, right? But then that is also a source of competitiveness. Okay? So we'll try and look at this. We'll try and look at some frameworks. Indian and global examples, because today there is nothing which is local, right? Everything is global. So we'll try and look at all of that. We'll try and look at strategies. So you might have heard the celebrated blue ocean strategy. We'll try and look at how do strategic approaches lead to competitiveness. So every person, every company, every CEO, every board has a different view of the strategic approach. Like Tata's would have a different view as against Reliance. Make sense? Right? Tata's would have a very different view of competitiveness. So they will not rush into businesses, or they would indeed touch businesses like the ones that they bought in UK, Land Rover, Jaguar, Chorus, and in spite of them not being apparently competitive, or the airlines, right? A natural question that would come to your mind is, can you measure competitiveness? Because if you cannot measure, you cannot improve it, right? So how can I look at measuring competitiveness? What could be the indicators? So having churned our minds through all of this, we'll try and look at competitiveness. So this is the first part of the session, part A. Competition, competitiveness, competitive advantage. In the second half, we'll link it to sustainability. right? So we'll understand what is sustainability. Why do we discuss sustainability today? What are these 17 sustainable development goals? Why are they relevant? What would happen if we don't address them? What are the dimensions of sustainability? Parameters, buckets, pillars, you can use any jargon, right? What challenges do you face in achieving sustainability? So are there any challenges in achieving sustainability? Organic food, all these film stars, right? What do? They advertise organic food. So natural question that would come to your mind is it worth that? Is it really organic? Is it really affordable? So at a consumer end there are challenges. At a policy end there are challenges. The government of Maharashtra has been trying to talk about some micron, plastic bags not thicker than or thinner than some micron. And I don't know whether they also don't know whether they have been successful in achieving that ban on plastic. Right? We go to beaches, we go to forts, we go to various tourist places, and we realize that how successful really we are in convincing the audience, convincing the citizens about sustainability. Right? So if you ask in a questionnaire, you all will say yes, we want sustainable world, and look at the behavior collectively of humanity. Right? So we'll try and look at theoretical perspectives around sustainability as well. So what issues are there? The moment we talk of sustainability in the context of business, we realize that there is a zone of conflict and there is a zone of cooperation. Right? So you look at Adar Punawala. Heard of this person? Students? Right? So has he created a model out of sustainability? A business model? Right? But there are others who would, I would say, give only lip service, if at all, to sustainable issues. Right? So is there a zone of cooperation? Is there a zone of conflict? And then how do we address this? Right? So we'll try and look at those aspects of sustainability from various perspectives: customer, government, regulatory perspectives, typical pestle analysis kind of an approach. As we proceed, we'll look at various sectoral examples also. We'll try and briefly touch upon 17 SDGs. I'm not going to list them. You all can Google. A lot of Google would be allowed in the classroom. Okay, so I do believe in making you all use it productively rather than you being on Insta or Facebook or whatever when I am speaking. Right? So it's better that you use Google productively. So I would want you to look at these 17 SDGs and tell me how are they relevant. Okay, so we'll look at that aspect. And then finally we will come to circular economy. So we'll try and understand what is a linear economy. What was the economy earlier, right? And what's the circular economy? How do their businesses work? What are the revenue models? And then certain examples in terms of creating an alignment between a circular economy, sustainability, and the needs of all the stakeholders. So typically that is what I propose to kind of cover in the session. Any comments before we start? So is that fine, the scope? Is it too much? Looks like, right? Too much to cover. But let's see how we can go ahead, right? But then if you understand all of this, I guess you will take away something by the end of 2 hours. Okay, so very quickly, let's try and look at competitiveness. I would want you to write a few things, okay? So I would not want you to be only Shravan Bhakti, like as if you are watching one act show over here. Ekapatri itha prayog chalu nahiye. So please लिहिणार आहात kind of. Okay. So competitiveness. So what's competitiveness? What is competitiveness? Students, you don't have anything to write, so I would request organizers to please give them notepads or pens or both. Huh? Don't type it out in WhatsApp. Otherwise, there is no engagement over here, right? So please give the worth to the session. So what is competitive? You all sit, they will distribute it. Don't walk off. There is no point in doing that. Very minimal thing I am going to write. Otherwise, everyone rushes, sir, PowerPoint. That's not the objective over here. So competitiveness. What's competitiveness? Yes, what does it mean to you? And speak out. Okay, there is no right or wrong answer. I am not going to teach, we are collectively going to understand. I am very clear about this. Okay, so if you feel that this is a shock, cultural shock to you, so try and bear with me for 2 hours. So what is competitiveness? Anyone? Any thought? Of a firm, right? Competitiveness of a company, an organization. So is Indian Railways competitive today? Today? Yes? Right? So why do you say it is competitive? Simple example. Why do you believe Indian Railways is competitive?
Edge over competition.
Sorry, edge over competition. In what way?
In what we're providing this railways facilities over this Vande Bharat, let's say for example, for the shortest distance, where the planes that we're talking about, maybe conveniency, par services at par services.
Okay, okay. What's the one word that you should look at when I talk of competitiveness? Not really. Value. And everything else will fall in place. Do you all agree? Do they provide value to customers? Do they provide value to shareholders? Do they provide value to society? Do they provide value across the supply chain and the value chain? To partners, to vendors, to employees? Maybe in different ways. Okay, I am not saying that they provide equal value to all stakeholders. So there could be a graph of this, right? Some stakeholders may see larger value, some may see minimal value. But overall, competitiveness is all about value creation. Do you all agree? So we need to understand how do firms create value. Make sense? So if you are creating value in the right manner, so when I integrate this with shareholder value, profitability is already there. Right? I am not saying separately profitability. Right? Am I making sense? So competitiveness is all about having a value proposition which is better than the others. And others is a very tricky definition. Right? Others is a very tricky definition. Why? Because you compete with anyone across the globe. You never knew that they also sold this. Do you realize this? So others could be a very tricky thing. So I will not get into the details. So what I am trying to emphasize is competitiveness is all about value creation. Am I making sense? Right? So let's try and understand what are the various perspectives that lead to competitiveness. So one is known as, write down a few, I am going to give you only some terms, okay? So economic theory perspective. So what does economic theory tell us? You learned microeconomics, managerial economics, right? So what does economic theory tell us? Yes? Does it tell us something about being competitive? Cost, long run cost, short run cost, variable cost, right? So typically it talks about efficiency. Economic theory is all about being efficient, right? So economic theory says the most efficient player is going to have the whatever lead, market share, etc., right? And then it talks about the ability of the firm to maximize productivity. Do you all agree? So the point is there is an economic view of competitiveness without going into details, right? Makes sense? There is an economic view. So how would an economist look at competitiveness would be different than how maybe a manager would look at competitiveness. Okay? Then there is a strategic view of competitiveness. Strategic view. What could be a strategic view? So when Tata's purchased an airline, or Tata's purchased Chorus, or when they purchased TCS, they were saying, how can I plug this into my Tata Sons empire network? And how can Tata Power, how can TCS, how can Titan, how can Indian Hotels, how can my Singapore airline and all the players in the Tata ecosystem nurture Air India so that it becomes something. Right? So it's not about productivity, it's not about efficiency, it is not about cost. Although they are there, underlying they are there, but is that the driver? So there is a strategic view of competitiveness. Do you all agree? Why did this guy, what Mark Zuckerberg, pay so much and purchase WhatsApp? Strategic view. Mergers, acquisitions, incubating businesses within businesses. strategic view. So there is an economist view, there is a strategic view, right? There is a leadership view. Do you believe there is a leadership view of competitiveness? After all, who drives competitiveness? There has to be a leader, right? So one of the best names is this guy who prepared iPhone. What's his name? Steve Jobs, right? So what did he do? Was there a leadership perspective of competitiveness? Right? So typically these three and all other views get assimilated between them. So financial view, economics, right? Marketing view, maybe strategy, right? So we all understand intuitively what is competitiveness, do we? We are not in a class where I want you to write a definition, right? Not doing research over here, right? So we all intuitively understand competitiveness and the broader perspectives of it. So in some situations, like the Apple thing, it could be driven by an individual, right? Or maybe you apply today to the Indian economy and treat Mr. Narendra Modi as the CEO of India, maybe we could apply to him, right? Okay? In some cases, it is about the network effect, like the Tata's example, right? Strategic view. And obviously in many other cases is the economic view. I am not saying that one view is better than others. All of them eventually will interlink. So you cannot have a leader who doesn't understand costs, right? So economic view is also there. But what drives? That's what I'm saying, right? So between the three views, some view may be predominant, some view may be front-ended, and others could be supporting. Okay? So then we come to this term called sustainable competitive advantage. Write down SCA, sustainable competitive advantage. So what does it mean? Sustainable. Time t equal to 0 to time t equal to n, right? Sustainable over a long period, over a decade, over 3 decades, over a century, or maybe at least over a year, over 6 months, right? So you have this brand called, what do they do? Younger folks, what do they do? Fashion, right? Clothing, right? How easy or difficult is for them to maintain a sustainable competitive advantage as against, say, General Electric, or maybe closer home, say Tata Motors. Where would you find it relatively easy and relatively more challenging? Am I not audible? I am, right? Where would you find the configuration? More challenges, more cyclic, right? More short cycles, always doing things. Now that they have got this Nexon right, maybe next 5, 7, 10 years they can milk it, right? So industry issues would come into this sustainable competitive advantage. So what's sustainable? Let's get that out of window over a certain time frame, but this N would depend on several factors, right? This N is not a static number, it could depend on many things. So earlier Bajaj Auto and Hero Honda could maintain their sustainable competitive advantage for say 3-4 decades. And you know what's happening now? There is a lot of churn, so external factors, internal factors, all of that, right? And then what is a competitive advantage? Competitiveness is okay. What is a competitive advantage? Something which will give you an edge over the other players is an advantage, right? And it would end up in something. So we'll try and understand what does it end up in. So a competitive trait, right? A competitive character, somewhere, okay? It could be HR, it could, like Google talks of what being the most innovative company. So it's rooted in maybe their culture and talent and other things, right? So it could be rooted anywhere. That's the separate thing, right? But it leads to for a period of time, it leads to having an edge over the competition. And then it results in something. And ultimately it can all be tied up to your shareholder value and other things, right? So what conceptual frameworks are you aware of? Anyone who teaches strategy over here? Okay, even otherwise, I think you should be aware of something. So you have this Porter's model, right now, Porter's model. What kind of model is that? Five forces, right? Five forces model. So it talks of outperforming the rivals, and then you have bargaining power of suppliers, bargaining power of customers, all those things, right? So you have Porter's five forces model underpinning competitiveness. Then you also have a resource-based view, right now, resource-based view of competition, of SCA. What is a resource-based view? Competitiveness stems from access to a resource. So TCS is a giant, Tata Consulting Services, and their competitiveness is in the way they manage their human resource costs. They have many other things. I'm not saying they don't have anything else, right? But the way they attract and retain talent at the right cost, or I would say optimum cost, and they manage human resource churn, their, I would say, their own talent management cycle, employee engagement cycle. It is a resource-based view of being competitive. Or Tata Steel, as I said, has access to captive iron ore mines. So what's the key to production of steel? Iron ore, right? If I have iron ore, the most precious resource in the entire value chain, I think I am competitive than others. Someone would say, I have the, like Bajaj Finance, they have the ability to give these 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 loans and retrieve the money. So there is no NPA, or the NPAs are less. But HDFC Bank and ICICI Bank cannot do that. Or State Bank cannot do it, right? Why? Because they can give a $1 billion rupee loan and they don't know whether they will retrieve. But fundamentally they would trust that they can retrieve, right? So giving say 1 billion to 5 people and giving few thousands to billions of people is a different story. Are you getting me? So there is a competitive advantage which Bajaj Finance has in the small ticket size loan markets, and it is based on their CRM analytics, right? So this is a resource based view of competition. Then you could look at dynamic capabilities perspective, right now, dynamic capabilities perspective of SCA. So do you believe markets and economies across the globe are dynamic today, or are they static? So pre-1991, pre-industrial liberalization, right? So Bajaj Auto could manufacture the same product for decades together, or Henry Ford could afford to say you can have any color of the car as long as it is black. Today, can you afford that? Today you are saying pick everything, pick the color of the car, pick the choice of the upholstery in the car, you configure your car. Where are we? Century ago we were saying take it or leave it, this is what it is. Today you are saying please come and configure your car. Why car? Configure your flat, right? So dynamic capabilities perspective of sustainable competitive advantage. So firms which are in the new economy like Amazon, like Flipkart, like Zerodha, are they dynamically evolving? And to be in business they have to always, as is said, typically outrun the next who is running the fastest, right? So that's dynamic capabilities. So what do they need? They need change management, they need agility, they need innovation, right? Tata Motors also needs innovation, but not to the same extent as Zara needs it. Does Zara need innovation day in and day out? Tata Motors may be needing it, obviously yes, but not to that extent, right? So dynamic capabilities. And then there is a most importantly a customer centric view of SCA, right now, a customer centric view of sustainable competitive advantage. So any example? So what does a customer centric view mean? Front end everything in terms of customer needs and preferences, right? So whatever the customer demands, I'm not saying blanket, it's not that customer wants free so you offer free, I'm not saying that, right? So understand, digest. So what do they need to know? They need to have an ear to the ground to understand how customer trends are changing, how they are evolving, what does really customer mean, right? Customer says I want a fantastic bike,
What do you mean by this fantastic bike? How do I translate it into product design, product parameters, product specifications, pricing, value, right? So customer wants everything yesterday at the cheapest cost. How can I deliver that? Customer centric. So I would now want you, over the next 2 minutes, make a list of various factors that contribute to competitiveness. Is the task clear? So you use any framework. One of the frameworks is, just let me complete. One of the frameworks could be, say, competencies in general management, competencies in marketing area, finance area, HR area, right? So you could use a framework of listing down what drives competitiveness. Another framework, just to give an input to you, could be what are the areas where competitiveness resides internally in the organization, and what are the frameworks where competitiveness is existing outside the organization. Making sense? You could use a value chain framework, okay, and you could use much more beyond that. So please take next 2 minutes or maybe 5 minutes to make a list. So if we are 50 people over here, at least 50 unique points should come up in terms of what drives competitiveness. Is the task clear? Yeah. Sir, you had a question? Hello. You had a question?
Pressure is there. Pressure.
Yeah, use any framework. Internal, external. So external is best. SWOT. Make sense rather than only listening? You have something to write? Please help us, organizers. Notepad and a pen. Someone can lend a couple of pages. If you don't do it, it will not sink in. Vanish. लावू लावतो मला नाही येते का मागे ऐकू नर्मी सोडू ना ऐकू येते का नाही हॅलो Yes, please. Sorry. No, maybe after an hour you can get some black coffee. Without sugar?
Yes.
Black without sugar.
Yes.
How many of you have completed 10 factors at least? 10 parameters, 10 drivers. 10. Okay, carry on. Let's see how many you can do. 25. Keep a target of 25. Those who have completed 10. This is also competitive spirit. Huh? So no rewards or awards or trophies. Just an acknowledgement, huh? That whoever can get the maximum. Maybe organizers can give a whatever, trophy. One more minute, okay? And then we'll take your points. We'll give students the first chance to contribute. How many of you are students? This side? So there could be a young faculty and I may presume as a student, so it should be the case. "30 seconds. Okay, good to go. Whoever, students first. Anyone. And don't repeat. If it is already covered, don't repeat.
Innovation.
Good. Okay, innovation. Yes, next. Keep on.
Cash payment liquidity.
Okay, so liquidity management. Fine. Next.
Cost optimization.
Cost optimization. Okay, next. Sorry. Who is that?
Product offering.
Okay, so I would say product portfolio. Okay.
Brand and
Next.
reputation.
Product portfolio. Next.
Brand and reputation.
Brand. Fantastic. Okay. Further.
Strategic alliances.
Alliances. Very good. Further.
Utilization of
Legal environment.
One at a time, please. Sorry.
utilization of resources.
Resource utilization could be productivity and efficiency. Okay. Further. Yeah.
Regulatory and legal environment.
How does it contribute? Can you just make it more focused?
Some countries have capitalist structure and some countries have community structure.
Right.
So it influences the competition in particular that country.
So maybe broader, I would say what, economic structure. Further, yes? This side, done with this side of the students? CRM, customer relationships. Okay. No students here? Technology what? What do you write about technology? Okay, I'll come to this. This side, students.
Changing trends.
Okay. Riding the changing trends or market dynamics.
Dynamics.
Okay, yes. Anything else? Now open to faculty. Yeah, you were saying something.
Ability of finance.
Finance. Okay, so capital, capital adequacy, or I would say capital strength. Okay, fine. So how good are they in terms of their war chest? Yeah.
CSR.
CSR. Okay. Last one. I'm not able to hear.
Customer base.
Customer base. So if I have a wide customer base, okay, someone like say Amazon, customer base. Yeah, over to the faculty members now. One per head. Huh? Sorry.
Demand from stakeholders.
Demand. So market itself is growing, right? Market growth. Is that what you are saying?
All the stakeholders demand, government, customers, legal.
No, then that would be stakeholder relations. So do I have good relations with all the stakeholders?
Infrastructure, sir, infrastructure.
In what sense?
Infrastructure, producing capacity with the lowest cost.
Okay, the plant.
Size.
Capacity, efficiency.
Okay, right now for a better word, I will just say plant for now. The production base, sorry.
Supply chain.
Supply chain. Okay, you all are throwing terms, but okay, fine. Supply chain. What does it really? How does it contribute? These are some of these are mere terms. Okay, further.
First mover advantage.
Okay, yes. So if the person is a first mover advantage, right? First mover.
Skilled workforce.
Yes, why not? Talent and skills and talent management, right? Okay. Talent and skills. CSR. CSR.
Differentiation in the product.
Product differentiation, brand. Okay, product differentiation plus brand.
Decision making ability, quick decision making ability.
Very important, right? So top management. So top management is agile. Okay. Further.
Geopolitics and international relations.
Sorry.
Geopolitics and
Right. Okay. So I can be a firm in US and I can make nations dance to my tune. All the US companies they do this, right?
Scale of population.
Scale, yes, very much. So like customer base, scale, so global footprint or whatever, right? Or like Reliance, think 100x of what the next person is. Further,
Environmental factors taking.
right? So maybe since we are discussing sustainability, that I factor in the environment in my entire operations or all decisions. Okay, further,
international relations.
that's that geopolitics and
Bargaining power.
of what? With respect to the vendors. Okay, so you have like the balance of power with respect to vendors is with you. Fine. Okay, then
Patents and government.
patents, copyrights, I will put it over here.
Lifestyle.
Government stability.
Again, let's put it over here. Economic structure plus the government. Okay.
Religion belief.
Sorry.
Religion beliefs.
Lifestyle.
Culture.
Culture,
Culture.
lifestyle.
How would it be advantage? Okay, fine. I will take it. It could be both ways, but maybe social structure. Okay, just like there is an economic structure, I will put it as a social structure. Everything in that bucket. Anything else? Anything that you have missed out? Just glance through it.
Competition, competitors, they are missing.
Competitors. Okay, so we are assuming that you will be competitive, right? Alliances. I think someone said that. But if not said, I will capture it.
Last.
Yes. Risk management. We talk of VUCA, right? Volatile, uncertain, complex. So managing risk is very important. Do you all agree? Something which you all have missed. Any finance faculty should have said that to me. Risk management. Great companies are great risk managers, right? Identification of risk. Thinking of the second, third order effects of what will happen, right? So that is another thing. One thing that you have missed again is resource allocation. You all have what theories in finance talk of this. How do I allocate resources? Right? All theories in finance speak about this. So companies which have SCA have the right resource allocation. Do you all agree? So you have resources. Someone said capital base, but then you misallocate them. Right? So what happens? You misallocate resources, you will drain the resources, right? Especially with conglomerates like Tata's, right? Earlier it used to happen. Further, something more? Anything that you have missed upon?
Cost cutting.
Hmm?
Cost cutting.
Cost cutting, under production and efficiency. Someone also talked of cost optimization. Technology, sorry.
Access to resources.
Access to resources. Yes. So market access. Market access to anything. So market access to customers also. Market access to your supply chain, to your distribution chain, right? So more or less there, right? And what we had missed is two things: the risk and Capital allocation. So this pretty much captures what drives SCA in different ways. Different industries will have different drivers, right? Or the same company in different environments, in different economies, in different product lines, it will have different drivers, right? So, do you get this? More or less, everyone is in tune? Okay, so any examples, real world examples? So, customers, do you believe HDFC Bank is one of the best examples of being customer centric bank? Right? Okay. Innovation, which company would you talk of for innovation? Bosch, Apple, then further? Philips, okay, kind of, but not known for innovation, right? They would want to be known, but really not known for. Sorry? Zerodha, yes, in the financial markets, yes, okay. Resource allocation, we can go on and on. I'm just picking few things, okay. Sorry, or if anyone is. Resource allocation, yes, Birla Group, L&T, all large conglomerates, those who have survived for centuries, right? Tata is not really known for resource allocation, but of late they have improved because they are also on CSR, right? But L&T is a good example, Birla Group would be a good example, right? Environment and social responsibility, Tata's could be one, then as an individual, I am talking of the company. So he is a great philanthropist, that I agree. But as a firm, these days ITC is being forced to look into this. Do you all agree? Right? So certain times the market or the society or the regulators will force over there. Strategic partnerships. Examples? Someone said alliances. So examples? Reliance, BP, has it worked by the way? May not be, okay. Not a great example, but yes, they have an alliance. Yes, others? Tatas are driven by alliances since ages, right? Since ages, they will always have a partner and they are good. And look at Mahindra and Mahindra, they have failed. They failed with Ford, they failed with Peugeot, right? Any company you take and Mahindra doesn't understand how to manage alliances. Do you all agree? So you see the distinction between the competitiveness. Investor confidence. Someone said stakeholder relationships. Which companies? You go to the market and you will, Adani, do you believe investor confidence?
Yes.
They had to withdraw, right? They said, you know the story behind it, right? Okay. Risk management. Which companies manage risk very well? Finance, as I said, right? Okay, they manage risk very well. I'll just pick a few things. Efficiency, all low-cost providers, Maruti to a certain extent, right? Bajaj Auto to a certain extent. Efficiency. So we all understood what is competitiveness, what is sustainable competitive advantage, and what are the drivers of sustainable competitive advantage. Let us take this discussion ahead in terms of what you all are aware of as a certain views on strategy. So you all have heard of blue ocean strategy, one of the most often talked and celebrated example, okay, of the strategic view. So what is a blue ocean strategy? And give me some examples. Zerodha, a wonderful example. Do you believe it is a blue ocean?
Yes.
CAMS, heard of this? CAMS, blue ocean. Which other examples come to your mind? Blue ocean strategy. Sorry? IRCTC, yes. Okay, further. So do you believe most of them will be new economy companies? Blue ocean. So they create a market, right? They do not go into an existing market, they create a market. Any other examples?
UPI payment.
UPI payment, yes. So most of these are again technology, new economy. Okay, tell me an example of a value chain based competitive advantage. I am now discussing concepts, huh? So we are not discussing all the parameters. So value chain based competitive advantage. Entire value chain is competitive.
DMart.
Yes, DMart would be a wonderful example of Value chain. So how do they buy? How do they sell? How do they stock? How do they procure? Where are they located? Right? How do they use the technology? Okay, so all these retailers typically are value chain based. They have to be that way. Any other example? Value chain based? Amazon. So all those. Whether you sell food grains or groceries or books or electronics, all of them.
Even Maruti for that.
Maruti to certain extent was, not today, is, right? Okay, any other example? Value chain based competitive advantage. All those who are having too many vendors, they will always have or they will always strive to have a value chain based sustainable competitive advantage. Swiggy, Zomato, yeah, all these people, right? Titan, do you believe has a value chain advantage along with innovation? Right? Okay, further. Okay, I'll skip a few theoretical things because we are, I guess, we'll run short of time. So, if we were to measure competitiveness, what could be the parameters? I have to measure competitiveness. Write down a few terms. So, if I say go with a scale, you measure height, you have a foot rule, right, or a meter scale. So, what kind of strategy do they have? Competitive strategy. So, do they have a competitive strategy at all from there? So, there could be an element of measuring their competitive strategy, right? Then there could be an element of measuring their market positioning. Do you all agree? So Titan, market positioning, so much of competition these days. Joya Lucas and all the homegrown local brands and Indian brands and the global brands. Innovation and adaptability, right? Agility. Would you believe that you need to measure that? Innovation and adaptability, right? Customer focus, right? Customer focus and obviously customer delight or satisfaction. Financial health and efficiency. Financial health. Then you would say talent management and employee engagement. Do you need to have that? Talent management and employee engagement. Global footprint or global presence. And then value chain management. There is a difference between value chain and supply chain. I will not get into that right now. Okay? More or less, are we all together on most of the stuff that we have discussed? Any questions, queries, comments, objections, suggestions?
Still a bit of a clarification, a bit more discussion, leadership view that we have said. The example was there, a bit more elaboration.
So there is a Henry Mintzberg's 5 P's of strategy. Which are those? You all can Google. Please Google Henry Mintzberg's 5 P's of strategy. Please Google religiously, liberally. Google. No problem.
Is that
So
linked with
you get the answer? Let us list down the 5 P's for those who don't know. Henry Mintzberg's 5 P's of strategy. Strategy as a plan, strategy as a ploy, strategy. Yes, complete this list. Pattern. Then so position and perspective is what leadership brings in. Right? Position and perspective is the leadership job. Plan, delegated. Pattern, delegated. Right? Ploy, to certain extent, both ways. Right? But typically, what is the position and what's the perspective? Right? So historically, someone like the GE, right? They said we will be in the top 3 in every industry, otherwise we will move out. The celebrated statement, right? Jack Welch. So it's a perspective, right? So leadership brings what? Perspective. Okay. Answer, sir?
yes.
Okay. Any other question? Shall we proceed? So let's now understand sustainability. So just like I asked you, what is competitiveness? Please tell me what is sustainability. So this is sustainability. Pardon me. Okay, everyone has this. Okay, we also have this. I'm not criticizing. Is this sustainability?
No.
No. Right? So what is sustainability? You understand that this is not sustainability. I'm asking you what is sustainability?
Sustainability is fulfilling the need of current generation without compromising the need of future generation.
Fantastic. Okay, so that's the celebrated definition. So don't rob the future generations. I use this word. Okay? Do not rob the future generation. Any other perspectives? What is sustainability? So to fulfill my needs, I should not make the next generations pay for it. So do not rob them or fulfill my needs in a ethical manner, in a sensitive manner. What else is sustainability? Yes? Some of the terms are very difficult. Like we know them but we cannot articulate. So this is one kind of a term. We all are knowledgeable people. If I ask you to define knowledge, all of you are going to struggle. So what is sustainability? Yes, younger generation, important to know your views. What is sustainability?
Without disrupting others' journey and their plan and strategy, and we choose our strategy without disrupting them.
Okay, but then would businesses be kind to you? Not really, right? Okay. So what is, yes, plus?
Sir, is it that we have to keep ourselves ready so that we are ready for everything for the future?
Would that be agility? Would that be forward lookingness?
Yes.
What is sustainability? Again, what is the essence? Okay, let me put it different way. What are the dimensions of sustainability? Easier for you to think. Write down the dimensions of sustainability. So one of the most easiest one which I don't want you all to write is environmental sustainability, right? So all of you will say don't harm the environment, okay? Don't harm the... Okay, I will give you one more hint. Google 17 Sustainable Development Goals, 17 SDGs, and then come back and tell me what is sustainable. 17 SDGs. And please tell what is sustainability. Don't Google what is sustainability, okay? Be honest. You will get an answer. I don't want you to do that. Thinking is more important rather than getting the answer right.
Effective use of resources, available resources.
But we have been doing this since what? Henry Ford. Effective use. Your institute is doing this. Everyone claims that we are using effectively. Effectively or efficiently. There is a distinction between the two. Effectiveness and efficiency. Let's not get into that. I'm just pointing to something.
Creating harmony among all stakeholders.
Okay, harmony. Harmony. Okay. So what's happening in Ukraine and Israel is harmony. Okay. Not lack of harmony. Okay. Then you will come across a term known as well-being. So what is sustainable? So difficult to articulate. What is it for you? What is it for you? Younger generation. Yes, what are the dimensions? 17 SDGs. So what would they finally boil down to? Does it complete the thing? Triad. T-R-I-A-D. Triad. So I want you to think of the SDGs and map them to this. This is what are the three fundamental pillars, dimensions, parameters, whatever you use, of sustainability. So when you say harmony, it could be about this. but it could have roots elsewhere. Maratha reservation, okay? I'm not getting into the politics. Do you believe it has roots somewhere or the other? So please map 17 SDGs in your notebook. Say one is environmental. Write down the numbers. Say 1, 7, 9. 2 is what? Economic. Write down the numbers. And 3 is social. Write down the numbers. So I want you to map to the most prominent. Some SDGs could get mapped to multiple things, and that's where we will hint to. But I want you to put it in one bucket. Okay? We can always put all 17 in all 3 buckets. I don't want you to do that. So which according to you is the closest or the most important? So there is something like poverty along the SDGs, right? Poverty. So put it somewhere between the 3. There is something about gender. Put it somewhere between the 3. Please do that. So please use your cell phones beyond WhatsApp and Insta and the Reels. But around 12:10 you have to flag me. 12:10. I'll conclude at 12:15. Easy to do. You all could get 17 SDGs. I'm sure you all have got that, right? And that's okay. We'll not get into the history. Obviously, all that is available, right? So we are in an era where information is available. There is no premium on information. But thinking is not available, right? So what you have to learn is thought process, not the facts. There are no prizes for mugging up 17 SDGs. Not required. Map, everyone, done? Bucket 17 in 3 categories. That's the task. Easy, right? Not difficult. And I am not going to challenge you even if you put it in the wrong bucket. I just want you to think over it. So it's not about a answer or a specific answer. So we'll take one example, okay? Anyone. Again, this is neither right nor wrong. Okay? So you may say, why am I doing it? You can challenge me on that. That's not an issue. Environment, economic, and social. Again, I would want a student to take the lead. Any student who is confident, contribute to the discussion. If you have done it, mapped all 17, take a minute. Done? Yes, who would like to contribute? First choice to student, right of refusal. Yes.
For the EVs,
Tell me the number and the short thing. Yeah. Environment.
for the EVs, climate action,
Climate action. Okay.
life below water.
What's the number? You also tell the number.
3 for the EVs.
No. Climate action is number 3.
Number 1.
Number 1. No, goal number I am saying. SDG number 13. Huh. Okay. Life below water 14. Okay. Then
Land.
on land number
15.
okay. Then
For the economics, I have done clean energy.
clean energy number clean energy number 7.
For the economic growth.
This is economic, right? Clean energy.
Economic growth, it is also 1 point. 8 number.
Economic growth. Okay.
Industry, innovation, and infrastructure.
Industry, innovation, infrastructure.
Sustainable.
Number 9. So if you don't follow my understanding, the number will help you. That's why I asked you.
Sustainable cities.
Sustainable cities. Number? 11. So 4 plus 3, 7 done. Anything more under economic? Please tell me.
Responsible consumption.
Responsible consumption. Number?
12. And for social,
That's it for under economic. 5.
Yes.
Social.
Social poverty.
Poverty. Number 1.
Hunger.
Hunger. Number 2.
Health.
Health. Number? Next.
Education. Education.
Number?
Gender equality.
Number? Next.
Clean water. Reduce inequality, social inequality.
Number?
That's
That's it? All 17 covered?
some ideas.
Anything is left out? Check. Peace and justice. Number?
16.
Partnership.
Partnership for the goals.
Last one, no? 17. Does that cover all 17? Sure? Clear? You may debate on the categorization. I don't want to get into that right now. Can this be a representative categorization? That's the only thing, right? So many people vanished. Okay. So is that okay? This categorization? Now tell me, what are the interlinkages? With some examples, tell me the interlinkages, and that will lead us to the challenges. Right? So do you believe education is related to innovation?
Yes.
Do you believe education is related to economic growth? Do you believe people should be educated about climate? Right? So you see that things are interlinked, right? So this is an easier thing. And what I am saying is an easier thing, easier to digest, right? Now let us look at complex issues. So clean water, clean energy. Why are they complex? So much of discussion around energy these days, right? Hydrogen and ethanol, solar, everything else. So energy. There is a lot of research going on around the world on energy. So data centers, do you believe they are polluting? Data centers, huge data centers, data farms.
Yes.
Do they need water? Do they need cooling?
Yes.
But you need industry infrastructure, innovation. You need smart cities. So you need data. You need data for policy action. Your Aadhaar data, what was that app during Corona? Health app? COVID. No, something more. Arogya Setu. So do you need data? The moment I need data, I need energy. The moment I need energy, I need water. Data farms use huge water. And then I have poverty, I have hunger. I have hunger because there is no food sufficiency, pockets or imbalance. And if I cannot give water to farming and I am giving it to data centers, is there a challenge? Right? So, sustainability is a very complex, multidimensional, transdisciplinary issue. Do you all agree? Right? So, we have been talking about climate. So, the front end of all sustainability is only this actually. Right? What we have been discussing is only this. No one even cares about life below water, life on land. Right? We are least bothered. So, mangroves, right? So much of, say, things built through the sea, undersea tunnel of your internet cables. Right? Does it harm ecology? Right? So much of discussion about mining, so much of discussion about economic development. So if I want smart cities, I need what's that element? I think silicon, whatever. I'm not getting that. Okay, all the shortage about chips, right? Was about what? That element. Huh? What is that? Silicon, right? Okay. So does it affect life on land? Right? So what does this point to from a perspective of business management or from the perspective of policy? So we all agree that they are conflicting, right? We all agree that the roots go somewhere. If I pick any one of these, it eventually touches almost everything of others. Do you all agree? Yes. That's why I said I am not very keen on classification. At a broad level, this is okay, right? So you may shuffle one of these here or there. That doesn't really matter too much. What we need to understand is the roots go to all 16, almost all of the other 16, right? So, in other words, there is an inherent tension, there is an inherent conflict in these. Is there? Right? So, on the other hand, I talk of smart cities, on the other hand, I talk of hunger, poverty, right? I talk about industry innovation. I know that more females lead to better innovation, but I also talk of gender inequality. Everywhere. Don't think of gender equality only as a male-female issue. Right? It's a very profound issue. Right? So how many people are there, women on the board? Huh? So corporate governance. So is that also about gender equality? Right? But then you also have Chitra Ramakrishnan. You're aware? And you also have Chanda Kochar. Right? And on the other hand you have Savitribai Phule, and you have Maharshi Karve, and many others. So society gives us a spectrum of everything. Right? It gives us a spectrum of the good and the bad in the human spirit, right? Talk of health. Do you need this for health? Do you need this for health? Right? So the point is, this is a conflicting issue. It's a complex issue. There are inherent trade-offs in this. And therefore, if you have to manage sustainability, you need to manage complexity. So managing issues of sustainability is essentially about managing complexity and managing trade-offs from a multi-stakeholder perspective. Write down a few words. Conflict, trade-off, complexity, conflict, trade-off, complexity, multi-stakeholder perspective. Multi-stakeholder perspective. Do you believe there is a lot of interdependency in managing sustainability? Interdependence. Right, interdependence. Do you believe there are what's that? Zero carbon footprint. There are some goals, right? Every nation has committed to. I will not get into the environmental aspect of it. And these goals are kind of short term and long term. So do you believe that there has to be a prioritization in managing sustainability issues? So right, prioritization into short term and long term goals. Prioritization. this are two fundamental issues. One is the ethical moral issue. Ethical moral. Right? So these days you have that advertisement. I think it is of Kohler, Kohler. Some party is going on and then that person is enamored by the wash basin, right? Maybe 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs. I don't know what's the cost. Right? So we have an issue of ethics, morality and balance or imbalance, I would say, right? And the other issue is resource scarcity. Resource scarcity. So if you are in a capitalist economy, someone referred to that, and which should be, right, by and large. We know that communism has failed, socialism has failed. And in a capitalist economy, I can have a commode of 50 lakhs, right? And someone can strive for an entire lifetime to earn 50 lakhs. Possible? Both are realities. Both are realities, right? But then we therefore cannot say that, okay, you can't have this commode, please distribute that. That's not possible, right? So Aziz Premji and all those people come inside there over here. So there is this, therefore this leads to the aspect of equity and inclusiveness. Equity. Equity. What is equity? All of you Google equity. Not financial equity, okay? Equity from a social perspective. Social equity. You can just Google social equity. And tell me what is equity. And then we'll shortly now go into that circular economy thing. So what is social equity? Social justice, okay? Find something more? Environmental justice, okay? Secularism, okay, let's not get into that part, okay? I'm not discussing religion or other things. So what is social equity? Equal opportunity, okay? Or go to images over there. Do you find the image where three boys are looking over a wall? Yes. Huh? You see that image? That's the perfect example of what is social equity. What does it tell you? They are three different in heights, right? So the shortest one gets the tallest stool to stand upon. Does it communicate what is social equity? Right? So, is it possible for all of us to levelize everything in society? No, it will never happen, right? Nature is not like that. So, typical example of the 5 fingers, right? Or there is so much diversity in life forms, right? So, some are reptiles, some are giant dinosaurs. So, it is not about equality. It is about equity, right? So, let's now try and understand how do I connect sustainability with a business model. Okay, right? Do you all agree? Out of sustainability. Are Tata is creating a business model out of clean energy? Right? Okay, so what's the business model? What's the revenue model? Related terms. How many business models do you see around you which are based on sustainability? Some or the other. 17 concepts and maybe underlying concepts. So it could be social entrepreneurship. There is something in Pune known as a doorstep school. Google again, doorstep school. Do you believe they might be linking their work, vision, mission to any of the sustainable development goals? Doorstep school. Right? There are so many NGOs who work on mental health of senior citizens. Do you believe it is linked to 17 SDGs? Right? Can you link Eureka Forbes model to 17 SDGs? Clean water. So can you convert a social need into a business and a revenue model? Making sense? Right? So all around us, there are so many business models. Let's not get into the details of that, right? Green buildings. Green buildings. Do you believe they contribute to environmental goals? But if I use over there child labor, then what happens? So leadership perspective, right? Therefore leadership perspective. So you can create customer value, excellent customer value, but you can do it in a immoral way, not illegal. It is perfectly legal, but it could be immoral, right? And obviously morality is what? Your morality and my morality. I don't have a right to say that you are immoral, right? Okay? Food processing, so many models. So there is again this Gandhian view and there is this globalization view, right? So what is Gandhian view? Self-sufficient ecosystems. So these days builders advertise walk to work, walk to work. I have never understood that, very frankly. So they are assuming that the employer is giving me lifetime employment, right? Or even if he kicks me out, I don't need employment, or I will go to from Inzaudi to Magarpatta and again walk to work at Magarpatta. I don't digest this, but anyway, they say walk to work, right? So if you consume where you produce, it is a model, Gandhian model, self-sufficient ecosystems. So you would not need transport, you will not need refrigeration. Are you contributing to reduced carbon footprint? But how many of us don't want this iPhone, which is manufactured somewhere in China, Taiwan, US, Chennai, but wherever it is? So does having a self-sufficient ecosystem hamper innovation? If you don't have silicon, there is no smart city, right? So the inherent tensions, therefore again, they keep on surfacing to the fore. The way we think, the perspective part of it. So someone has developed, I'm sure you all have heard of it, a collapsible bicycle. Is it innovation? Does it contribute to inclusion? Right? Does it contribute to inclusion? So metro these days in Pune is there, right? And then what happens? You can carry a collapsible bicycle through the metro. Don't wait for the arrogant rickshawalas. Get out of, assemble it, and again, what? Ride to your workplace or wherever you want. Does it contribute? So can there be a business model contributing to sustainability? Right? So there are various ways of looking at this. And there are certain industries like the oil and gas, like the FMCG, even the IT industry, which are kind of, they contribute a lot to the problems, and therefore you see these businesses don't contribute out of love, right? They pollute at one end. So there are people who will be very ruthless in doing business and at times cross the line, cut the corners, cut the sheet from between, and then they will do a lot of social work also, donations and all that. Okay, so that's inherent in society. So let's now look to the last leg of a circular economy. Now we look at the principles of circular economy. So circular has to be looked at against the word linear. So what is a linear economy? So in sustainable supply chains, you might have heard a terminology known as, yes, can anyone complete this? I have written two words, one word is missing. Cradle, Parna. Two, where do we end? That's the word. Grave. Cradle to grave. How many organizations do you believe take the responsibility of cradle to grave of everything and anything that goes into their product or service? Get this concept? Cradle to grave. So does this organization, SIPR, does it take responsibility of how this bottle is being disposed? Right? So what is a linear economy? A linear economy only looks at, in the entire production cycle, it looks at bits and pieces of where it is in the value chain. It is not bothered about what comes before, what goes thereafter. A linear economy. So what are they focused on? How do I manufacture these caps or these bottles at the least possible cost, right? That's my goal. So if I say I want to use child labor, so be it, although there are rules, right? If I want to use a plastic of a particular grade which may be harmful, in spite of the rules, I'm not saying there are no rules, right? So I'm not being naive that okay, there are no rules. There are rules everywhere, right? In spite of all the legal provisions. So that's the linear economy. I take responsibility only for a piece of the entire value chain. I'm only looking at that particular thing, right? So, as against that, a circular economy looks at what approach? Cradle to grave, right? Cradle to grave. Or it looks at how I can really create an ecosystem where minimal things go out of the cycle. In other words, what? Reuse, reduce, recycle, refuse, all those 7 R's. Okay, if you're not aware, just Google again. 7 R's of sustainability. Just get a quick glimpse of it. 7 R's. Do it. माझ्याकडे बघू नका. एक पात्री प्रयोग नाही आहे. So please Google 7 R's of sustainability. And go to images. सगळ्यात सोपं आहे ना images. Very unused, underused feature of Google. So Google करायचं आणि इमेज मध्ये जायचं. पटकन समजतं एका सेकंदात. आहे ना 7 R's. Reduce, sorry, not refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle. अजून काय? Repair, right? Okay. So, how does management come into picture here? So these people, although they are great at innovation, they are very notorious. So every time they bring a new model, ते charger पासून सगळी ecosystem बदलून टाकतात. So what happens? You create so much of electronic waste, right? So can you design for longevity? जुन्या घरात कोण राहिला असेल ना जुन्या वाड्यांमध्ये ते दरवाजाचे स्टॉपर्स बघा काय होते असे लाकडाचे गट हे होते आता बघा स्टॉपर्स किती वेळेस बदलतो आपण एका फ्लॅटमध्ये जर 20 वर्ष राहिलो आपण राहत नाही आता तेवढे वर्ष पण एव्हरी 2-3 years डिझाइन फॉर लॉन्जिटिव्हिटी पॉसिबल सो युअर इनोव्हेशन युअर प्रोडक्शन सिस्टम्स should they be designed for longevity? Or in your CRM or in your business plan, am I factoring in replacement growth? How do business plans prepare? Business plan वाले काय म्हणतात Tata Nexon, कुठली company for that matter? Why Tata's, right? So this is my growth of people who are first time car buyers, and this is the growth which will be through replacement demand. आम्ही असं डिझाइन करतो की दर 12 वर्षाला ती कार रिप्लेस झालीच पाहिजे. We don't design for longevity. Forget the marketing part of it, right? Bhala uski kameez, it's a separate story. So you give a guilt of being missing out. म्हणजे तो sea view facing तो flat घ्यायलाच पाहिजे. नाहीतर आयुष्यामध्ये काहीच कमवलं नाही. That's the marketing part of it. I will come to that later, right? So what are we saying? Sustainability from a design perspective. So you see a lot of design schools coming up which talk of sustainability, but it is already there in us. Do you all agree? Right? So again it goes back to various things. So when I was a child and some of the people over here might have experienced that you used to have a person who used to come to your place and deliver milk. Lost over a period of time. Right? And that person was from the locality. तो 20 किलोमीटरहून येत नव्हता. म्हणजे त्याची एक वेगळी कार्बन फुटप्रिंट नसायची ट्रॅव्हलची. Right? So somewhere in the locality. So there is again a challenge, right? So livelihoods and lifestyles. Resource efficiency, right now, resource efficiency. So we're talking of principles of circular economy. One of the first principle is what? Design for longevity. Resource efficiency. So this is where your production management and logistics and a supply chain come into picture. So what is this resource efficiency? Lean management, minimum wastage, higher productivity, right? Resource efficiency. So all your design principles in terms of operations, they contribute to what? Resource efficiency, right? So facility is also a resource. You all agree, right? So you might see somewhere over here, or in generally you would say that switch off the lights. So that's also resource efficiency. We talk of resource efficiency, then we talk of reuse and repurposing. Reuse and repurposing. So what is reuse? What is repurposing? So best out of waste. Just to kind of help you understand, right? So reuse and repurposing. Retrofit. Can there be business models out of this? So all the scrap that is collected is actually an illegal economy in India. Do you agree? It's a huge illegal economy, black economy. But it can be converted into a reuse and repurpose economy which will contribute to sustainability. So there has to be political will, there has to be social will, there has to be regulatory support, many other things. Okay, we will not get into that. Collaborative business models. So co-working spaces. Can you say it is a collaborative business model? So I don't need an office throughout the day. And was it already there? Doctors, architects, polyclinic. सकाळी 10 ते 1 कोण गायनेकॉलॉजिस्ट बसायचा, संध्याकाळी 5 ते 7 एखादा pediatrician बसायचा. That is co-working, nothing else, right? But now it has been converted into a very structured business model with all the branding and all the coffee and all the pool and carom and whatever, all of that. So all the fancies, frills. Okay, so collaborative business models. So there is a lot of outsourcing, right? Younger students will be placed on third-party payrolls. So I work for SBI, I also work for HDFC, I also work for ICICI. So it is a collaborative business model. Payrolls are being handled only by certain companies and they handle for everything. Collaborative business model, right? Product as a service. What is product as a service? पैठणी मिळते लग्नाची तुम्हाला घालायला, म्हणजे तुमच्या लग्नाची नाही, कोणाच्या लग्नात अटेंड करायचं असेल तर 25,000 रुपये किंवा 1 लाख रुपये तर पैठणी घालायची गरज नाही. शेअरिंग इकॉनॉमी, प्रॉडक्ट ॲज अ सर्व्हिस. आपल्या घरामध्ये किती आयटम्स आहेत विच वी नेव्हर रिमूव्ह और यूज इवन मे बी वन्स इन 2 years. एकदा करा, घरी जाऊन एक्सरसाइज करा सगळ्यांबरोबर घरी बसून सगळेजण. ओके, हाऊ मेनी आयटम्स विच वी आर नॉट यूज इवन वन्स इन अ इयर, इवन वन्स इन 2 years. माझ्याकडे एक तो टाटाचा काय व्हॅक्यूम क्लिनर 5 वर्ष आले वापरलाच नाही. सो फाइंड आउट. सो व्हॉट डू यू डू? People are aware that this happens. So product as a service, on demand, right? So product as a service. So you have tire as a service. SaaS. SaaS is what? SaaS is same model, right? So you can have offer products as service. So that comes to the concept of owning economy to sharing economy. Right now, owning. So earlier generation wanted to own everything. There are mental and emotional benefits of owning psychologically, right? So in Germany, people generally don't own homes. They suppose they stay on rent. We are not in an emotional state where we will stay on rent. Various reasons again, regulatory, social, ते सगळं भाग आहे, वेगळं आहे. Okay, I'm not getting into that. So owning versus sharing is also a part of sustainable business model, right? And it could go for anything like a small vacuum cleaner to Furlenco is a what? Sharing economy, right? Books, these were all experiments earlier also. Library is what? Sharing economy. See, it's not that these were not there. Technology has enabled in terms of agility, management, global scope, scale, but it's there, right? What is a library? A library is a sharing economy. Sustainable materials and sustainable transport. Short supply chains, right now. Short supply chains. So DMart is using these short supply chains. So stock near consumption. So Gandhian view is what? Produce and consume where it is. So stocking is also eliminated, right? So you see how things come back, all the principles come back over a period of time. Right now, traceability. Traceability is a principle of sharing circular economy. Traceability. As I said, does this company know where this will end? If this goes into the hands of a child labor on railway station, again water will be filled and it will be again circulated. Or this may end in a landfill, or this may end somewhere where it will be environmentally damaging. So traceability. So cradle to grave. So is the manufacturer, is the marketer, is the producer aware of where the product is right now? Traceability. Do you believe it will contribute to sustainability? Traceability. Right? So traceability is another principle. Sustainable materials. So लाल विटा versus सिमेंटच्या विटा. आहेत का जाहिराती? लाल विटांनी आम्ही घर बांधतो असं आता परत बिल्डर जाहिरात करायला लागले. Why? Not that it also has its own downside. Okay, I am not saying that it is very clean. But compared to the other alternative, is it clean? कारण तुम्ही सिमेंटनी बांधले ना, स्लॅब टाकतात, then you are staying in a oven or a cooker, so your cooling requirements will increase. So बिल्डरचं काय होणार आहे? 20 दिवसाला स्लॅब, 15 दिवसाला स्लॅब, तयार भिंती. Okay, we will deliver. So perspective, leadership. So what is the promise? Customer value. We will deliver your flat within these many. So 35 मजली टॉवर आहे, but we will deliver you within 20 months. So त्याचा कॅश फ्लो सायकल रिलीज झाला, पैसे मिळाले. What's the driver? This is the driver. But what we don't realize is what? कशा आहेत स्लॅब, कशा आहेत भिंती? Ready-made. So you pay the price for your air conditioning for the lifetime. He releases his cash flow cycle. Right? And what is the perspective? What is the pattern? What is the ploy? Are you relating things? Okay? So design for longevity will also talk of repair and maintenance. So there are business models about repairing and maintaining. So every time I need to, so I visited an institute in Ahmedabad, 100-year-old institute. One of the excellent examples, obviously the leader over there, the trustee is an architect. So they did not create a single piece of furniture new. Everything was refurbished. Right? So everything was created from whatever it was. So repair and maintenance. So is there a business model around repair and maintenance? Right? So all these companies which say give you domestic help on repair and maintenance are creating a business out of it, right? Most of the things that we struggle are about plumber, electrician, about the carpenter, and we don't know, right? So आपण म्हणतो जाऊ दे, ती बऱ्याच वेळेस तशीच असते, and then we junk it and we get a new one, and again it ends up being junk, right? So repair and maintenance. Regenerative agriculture, another principle of circular economy is a regenerative agriculture. So what does it talk about? Anyone who is a farmer will understand this. Soil health, cropping patterns, right? So if you overuse that particular farm or piece of land, then you are going to deteriorate it over a period of time. So soil health, right? So regenerative agriculture. Eco-industrial parks. Have you heard of these eco-industrial parks? So eco-friendly, not economic. Eco here is not for economic. Eco-friendly industrial parks. Anyone Gujarati over here? I am taking your permission and then saying this, okay? So don't feel offended. So when you go to Gujarat, you realize, anyone who has traveled, you will realize. And this is only one of the examples, okay? I am not saying that this doesn't happen in Maharashtra. Don't take it that way. So there is a lot of factory and industrial belts, right? But no one cares about the environment as far as those belts are concerned. And there are heaps of garbage that you can see right from the highway. So Gujarat has this policy of prohibition of liquor. And you know Diu Daman, where it is located, right? So what happens? I don't have to tell the story. You can imagine what happens, right? So all the consumption revenue goes to Diu and Daman, and all the scrap is generated in Gujarat. So we are discussing sustainability and how social values would affect those, and in terms of the business models. life cycle assessment, write down. Just like we talk of design for life or longevity, we talk of life cycle assessment. So when I was doing my MBA, 30 years, 35 years ago, whatever it is, I worked with Thermax, Pune-based company, okay? And they had a air conditioner, which was not this conventional one, called the Voltas and the carriers of the world manufacturer. They had an air conditioner which was known as ACD, Absorption Chilling Division, basically industrial air conditioner. And we used to sell based on life cycle cost to the customer. So in a B2B context, it is always there. Life cycle cost. Both first order, second order and third order cost. Right? So what is the first order cost? The direct cost. Second order cost, maybe training, maybe aligning it with my legacy system. Third order, that I cannot imagine what they are going to happen. Right? Environmental cost, social cost, third order cost. So if some 10 people are going to be shunted out of their roles because of implementing, say, a ERP system, then there is a third order social cost. So how am I going to retrain them? Right? That is again where leadership comes into it. Are you joining the dots? Okay, so there is a life cycle assessment perspective. So one of the principles of circular economy is to have this life cycle assessment perspective. So don't only think of the obvious costs, front-ending cost. Think of second, third, fourth, whatever you can think of, right? Tertiary, primary, secondary cost. All of this looks good when we discuss, but it is not feasible unless there is economic resilience. So sustainable business models or business and revenue models which are rooted in sustainability do not tell that you should not be profitable, right? You have to pump in money after all, right? Whether it is government, whether it is society, whether it is a private entrepreneur, whether it is a MNC. Finally, the currency is what? Capital, right? So economic resilience, right now. Another principle of a circular economy model is economic resilience. So if you are not economically resilient, then you cannot sustain, as simple as that, right? Then you talk of innovation, write down, innovation as another principle. Why do you need to innovate? One of my students, PhD students, is doing a study, or PhD rather, on sustainable menstrual hygiene products. Awareness is low, acceptance is low, because pricing is high. So you need to innovate in everything. Innovation generally will relate only to products or product design. But innovation even in customer communications may be required. Innovation in policy may be required, right? So innovation is another principle of a circular economy. Because you have to finally make it aware and acceptable and adaptable at the masses. This is true for everything, right? So every eco-friendly product, like as I said, organic food, what is the perception? It is too costly. So can I innovate for cost reduction? Can I innovate for efficiency? Can I collaborate for efficiency? Right? So innovation. Then we talk of mindset. A circular economy principle, another principle is about a mindset. Mindset of whom? Everyone. Every stakeholder. Right? So there you talked of inclusiveness or hunger. So you might have come across something on social media which speaks about how there is a restaurant where everyone is physically challenged, right? All the waiters are physically challenged, and then it is about inclusiveness. So you innovate, you have the mindset that I could recruit all such people without hampering my customer focus, without hampering customer service, yet I could be inclusive. So it is about a mindset. If you start with a problem statement that sustainability and economic profit are different poles of the planet, you will never arrive at a sustainable revenue model. So what has happened is government is now putting riders on business models. And then if you want to export anything, you need to get a sustainability certificate these days. There are ISO standards or quality standards for sustainability. So if I am exporting, I need to explain. So carbon credits can be traded on exchange if you are aware of it, right? carbon credits. So all I would say stakeholders in the society, polity, economy, all of them are gradually getting sensitized to this, gradually. But you know, we have to run Swachh Bharat in India. Okay, forget BJP or RSS or other political lineage. What I'm saying is, we have to run a campaign called Swachh Bharat to tell us that we need to be clean, right? So it is about a mindset. So typically, just to give the closing remarks, see, especially for the students again and even for academia, sustainability is coming up as a big focal area all around. And there are great careers to be made in sustainability. It could be anything on all of this, right? So a simple example is getting yourself ISO certified in all sustainable standards, environmental standards, and doing all kinds of audits. A huge area that's coming up, right? Or sustainable design, as I said, is again a huge area. So typically, the entire globe is gradually moving towards it. To some extent, in many economies and societies, there is a pressure from the younger generation also. There are civil activist groups, there are NGOs who are also working, and even governments and corporates are looking at it. Corporates obviously have a vested interest because partly it is now sustainability is part of the PESTEL dimension, okay, political, economic, social, technological, environmental and legal dimension. So they have to comply with it. But there are obviously since ages there are organizations which are forward looking and they look at sustainability integrated in everything. So this is typically what I wanted to share. I guess I have covered at least the broader ecosystem of how the two things link. And I will now open it up for questions to you all. Questions, comments. One could go on, but I think we are short of time. Anything you want me to elaborate upon, revisit? Yes, please.
Regarding competitiveness, I would like to ask a question, sir.
Yeah.
Is it
Sit down.
to compete or we should follow what our values are or beliefs are? Like in 0 to 1, Peter Thiel has mentioned about 3 companies, Google, Microsoft and Apple. In 2010, each Google and Microsoft their valuation was far ahead of Apple. But in 2013, Apple's valuation was around 500 billion and Microsoft and Google combined valuation was around 400 something billion.
Right.
So Google and Microsoft were involved in competition.
Right.
Search engine was of Google, Microsoft
Got
also
it.
is Bing,
Yes.
and Apple followed its own path. So what is the right way, sir?
So would that be a blue ocean strategy for Apple?
Yes.
See, these market capitalizations and other things are very transient. So in our lifetime, you may believe that this has happened. Looking back after a century, the picture may be different, right? So in the entire stream of developments that are happening, there is no one formula which says that do this. Because we talked of VUCA, because we talked of so many moving parts in the entire ecosystem, right? Including our values. They are also evolving. Individual level, family level, social level. So fundamentally, it all depends on, therefore, there is a difference between being an industrialist and a businessman. So typically we say that Ambanis are and Tatas are, there lies the answer, right? Yeah, you had a question.
Yes. For small organizations, how much sustainability is applicable? Because they have less capital, less resources, and they want to survive in a good competition.
Right.
How do they can manage this?
So innovation, frugalness, right? So measuring carbon footprint again is a very important issue. Big are getting bigger and small will get wiped out. That's the nature of where we are headed as a society. Take any field. Eventually top 3 will be retained, maybe another 3 niche players will be retained, and all others will have the typical ABC will get very, very skewed. ABC is at least 80-20. This will be 85, 10, 15 and maybe 2-3%. So they have to be part of a wider ecosystem, plug themselves into a value chain and survive. Standalone survival is difficult, as simple as that. That's where collectively business and societies are heading. Therefore, the platform economy. A lot of things are being said about entrepreneurship and startups. But startup life cycle and startup sustenance is a challenge. WhatsApp was a startup, right? What happened to WhatsApp? So there could be again personal issues. So you create a startup and sell it off, serial entrepreneurship. So small will be small and they can survive. But small, you see, there are so many entrepreneurs who don't. So suppose my turnover is say 100 crore. You talk to them maybe as a management consultant, sir, you can do this and you can easily be 500 crore. They will say no, thank you. We are good where we are. The moment I start competing in another league, I attract all of the forces, right? So in economics, you might have heard of a satisfying theory of a firm. And most students don't digest what it is. So satisfying theory says that within your constraints, within your limits, I'm giving the essence, okay, not as a MA economics. So what it says is you limit your ambitions, you limit your growth, and you survive. So you fly below the radar. The moment I go into a 1000 crore, 500 crore league, right from the government of India, everyone is at my doorstep. Right? So small has to be satisfied with being small. If you have global ambitions, then you have to have a different pathway. Right? Again, I'm not saying that there cannot be a different approach. Okay, don't take me wrong. The moment you go there, be ready to accept that. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. I'll just wind up. Maybe one or two more questions.
Sir, is there a difference between the Indian companies are less sustainable and global companies are?
No, there is no such difference as such, right? It all depends on again the leadership. So there are all kinds of eggs in every basket, Indian as well as global. You have the best examples, you have the worst of them. Both are there.
If I'm unable to get profitability while maintaining sustainability, so what should I choose between these two, profitability or sustainability, if only I have one option?
If you have to survive, you have to have profitability. So you have to innovate to reduce the cost. That's what I say, right? Economic self-sufficiency is required. Otherwise, without any customers, your sustainable product is neither adding value to you nor to society. You will get only an award in some conference for being sustainable, nothing beyond that, right? The last question, if there is any, otherwise I will close. Yes, please.
Most of the organizations are moving towards from exclusive to inclusiveness.
Yes.
So, is that contributing anywhere in the sustainability?
To a certain extent, yes, for those who are really doing it rather than as a checklist or a compliance. It's all same principles everywhere, right? So, as you said, there are organizations which talk of, say, targets for gender diversity in the organization. So they will go all out and recruit females if they are a male-dominated ecosystem over there, right? They would also have more females on their governance board. Or they will put, say, X number of points in your performance appraisal for you as an employee to go and do some meaningful social work. Right? So there are, you are aware, or everyone is aware of organizations which says that you have to teach 50 hours at, say, an ITI. Suppose I am, say, Tata Motors or say Bajaj Auto over here, right? What do I tell? Teach for 50 hours at an ITI free of cost. CSR goal not only of 2% of spending, but for every employee. So am I creating those many transformation creators or change agents in the society? So there are people who do it with honesty even when the CSR Act was not there. And there are people today who do it only as a paperwork, that we all are aware. That's again a mindset. So some things don't change, right? Because it is human thing. It is not about the sector or the company or the organization. Fine. So Okay, one last
Culture will
question.
also affect
Sorry?
culture.
Yes, that's what human is what? Culture, values, right? So culture of the organization does affect. So what do you value and therefore the perspective. So I'll tell an example, last one. I met someone, a HR manager, who was working with Jindal Steel. And earlier he was with Tata's. So he happened to be my friend's friend. So we were just discussing over a cup of coffee. So he was telling me that what's the difference between Tata's and Jindal's. So we all know that if you recruit say 1,000 engineers, 800 will take up the job, 700 will join, and maybe 400 will be retained, right? Some of them will move in 6 months or 1 year. So what happened with Jindal was they recruited such engineers, and he was the HR head also looking at training, and then there was a huge training budget. And after the training, some X percentage of GTs, graduate training engineers, simply left the job. So Jindal looked at it as a cost, which in a way is right. But he said when he was in Tata's, the Tata management would tell him, doesn't matter. These 400 people who left us after training will carry the Tata culture wherever they go. You understand the distinction, which also answers your earlier point and your leadership point. So culture is very important, right? Culture is very important in spite of the trade-offs it involves. It is said that culture eats strategy for breakfast. Write down this sentence. So we have been discussing strategy in a way, right? But what's the sentence? Culture eats strategy for breakfast. So who supersedes culture, right? Because culture will give you how you define the problem, how you define your goals, how you define your targets, and how you define the pathway to the goals will all depend on your culture. Okay, so thank you. You should pardon me for leaving about 15 minutes in advance. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your invaluable insights with us today. Your expertise and wisdom are truly appreciated. Your words have certainly enriched our understanding of sustainability. Now I would request our student volunteer Christina to come forward and share recap of learning for this session.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a productive session. Let's take a moment to recap some key takeaways from this informative session, which wasn't a one-act show definitely. Certainly, we delved in a comprehensive understanding of several crucial concepts on comprehensiveness, that is value creation, providing value to your customers. We also explored the three perspectives of competitiveness. First is economic view, strategic view, and leadership view. We were also introduced to Blue Ocean strategy, that is an innovative approach on creation of new market. We also discussed factors contributing to competitiveness, where everyone present in this room shared their insights. Let's summarize some key factors, starting with innovation, brand, resource utilization, CRM, economic structure, dynamics, and customer base. Our next topic was sustainable competitive advantages, which lies in firm's ability to outperform its competitors consistency over long term, followed by economic theories and five-force model, that is Porter's model. We also learned how to measure competitiveness by market positioning, financial health, customer focus, and satisfaction of employee engagement, followed by three sustainability factors, that is environmental, economic, and social. Lastly, in the circular economy where resources are utilized efficiently, products are designed for longevity, and waste is minimized through reuse and recycling, while reducing the environmental impact and contributing to resource efficiency. For example, by moving from owning to sharing economy with 7 R's of sustainability. By integrating these concepts, we have gained a holistic perspective. Remember, these strategies not only drives business but also shapes a sustainable future. Now I'd like to call upon Manjari ma'am to take over the session.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks once again.
Okay, thank you. All the best.
All the participants, I request you be seated